This is what the FBI and Donald Trump hoped that the assassin would look like. A gangster, weirdo, Gen Zer, Muslim type leftist / transvestite. I use the word transvestite because it's feeling an awful lot like the late 60s / 70s lately with all of this insanity. And so here we are. All right. First off, talking like Rampage Jackson or Rafa Hool, the weirdo black guy that like beat up a fucking, guy in the middle of a ring, like fucking wrestling or whatever, and didn't get charged for it. He's like, hello, chat. Hey, welcome, chat. So again, I just want to, before we start, encourage the chat room to throw me your chats in that YouTube chat, because if you do, I will repeat anything you say. We will comment on it live. If you got any new flavors, any new questions, theories, news sources, etc., feel comfortable. Drop it. I'm not going to ridicule you unless you're really, really stupid. And in that case, it is what it is. But in dedication of Mr. Netanyahu, I'll put the hood up and we'll act like this is a hijab, and we'll act like this is a job. Okay? So, first off, I got to say, I have spent my entire Saturday watching comedian and, independent journalists and news source and podcasters and people that I cared about try to walk the fine line between weirdo that's like trying to play the Wicked is Wicked on Wicked soundtrack and right-wing conspiracy theorist that is now the #1 fan of Nick Fuentes. I have seen the division go full circle on all of these people. Tim Pool, I spent 45 minutes of Tim Pool's episode. Sad for Tim Pool. Oh, I'm saying Tim Pool. No, Tim Pool was actually really bad. Let's recap, okay? So, there are two patsies in the audience of the assassination. One bald guy, white, late 60s, screaming out, I did it. This is free speech, my Second Amendment. I honestly think after seeing footage of this man who was clearly in the lawn, clearly way too far away for the actual shot, that he is just like, he has a daughter, and daughters turn left wing sometimes. Here's the thing I've seen online, in general, okay? And this, all of the women I have dated in my life are this, okay? We'll start there, and then we'll work our way back. Every single person that I've seen, every single person that I have seen that isn't a identifiable minority, meaning like gay, black, trans, lino, or whatever the fuck we're talking about. Rainbow flags, like clearly of color type of person. Besides that, the only major ethnicity, the only major sex having a problem, like having morality for the situation, is white women. And I don't say it's exclusively white women. I would say that it is 100% people that believe in and or are on SSRIs. And like, I can spend a fucking Ian Carroll loaded Alex Jones style episode explaining to you all why that is the problem. Why the problem is essentially SSRIs and not transgenders or fucking shooters or leftists or Antifa or whatever fucking label we're trying to put this thing on. We got to back up because we got to go in order here so that we can cover everyone that is a hypocrite. Okay. And I want to say first off, I identify with Charlie Kirk and support and have sympathized and have cried and have played fucking circles by Post Malone and have written ex-girlfriends, emails, etc. Because Charlie Kirk, at his core, as an independent human being, is an independent. These people, like, as somebody that is fundamentally independent, I have to, like, I can't not support somebody that is fundamentally independent. And I don't want that to be misconstrued with like me being like not in support of most of the values of Charlie Kirk, to be honest. It's hard because like most people that are putting that line in front of like Charlie Kirk are leftists, like deeply leftist rooted people. I'm not one of the racists, but maybe blowing a guy's head off is a problem. That's where I differ. I think that like I disagree with a lot of things that Charlie Kirk would say. But I'm disagreeing with them based on religious fundamentalism, based on all kinds of things that people aren't basing it on when they say, well, I don't agree with Charlie Kirk, but... And this gets down to my point. When we go through this chart, when we go through this entire ordeal of people to blame, of things that have happened, etc., the thing that I want you to remember is the level at which people are at. If you were a gay transgender youth shaving your head, only watching crazy Chinese conspiracy theory TikToks, I do not expect you to sympathize much with Charlie Kirk. But on a citizen level, on a level of what is right, what is wrong, what should we do in America, we got to find the medium. We got to find a way that we cannot have a military state, that we can mostly agree with Dave Smith, but we can understand that Dave Smith and Joe Rogan being like, what, I'm not an expert, is gay as fuck because you're comedians and like you're putting yourself in the public square. And so, yeah, you are not just fucking an opinion. Yeah, you are advocating for a cause. Yeah, you are the leader and support group of the people that you speak for. I'm going to start tonight by telling you who has done it right. I was really scared when I listened to Tim Dillon's new episode because the last, I would say the first 20, 25 minutes, I thought he was going to go down the same rabbit hole that he's went down before. But Tim Dillon has a sarcasm that is very niche, very close to my heart, to who I am as well as a person, which is just when you think you can trap Tim Dillon in a hole. Be like, hey, Tim Dillon, this is what you said. Tim Dillon lets you know he's not taking any of this seriously anyway. And so I think that the first person I have to support is the one that I didn't think I was going to support. I watched over 20 minutes of the episode before I thought anything other than, oh God, what are we doing here? But if you watch the latest episode of Tim Dillon, okay, the first 20 minutes you will agree with fundamentally is just the simple American perspective that, like, you know, we shouldn't ridicule every human being. We shouldn't act like this is, you know, the end of the world and like it's justified and play the fucking soundtrack of Wicked and all this weird gay shit. But then when you get into Tim Dillon's episode, you're like, okay, this is super Palestinian. This is super against Israel, which feels a little distasteful. It's the same problem I had with Ian Carroll. We are experiencing a 9/11 style event, okay? And in a 9/11 style event, you have to, as a public figure, understand and identify the audience locally first. Every person that is watching your show, Ian Carroll, Tim Dillon, they're watching your show in the United States, most likely in the continental United States, to be specific. And they're not necessarily ready for a Israel did it take. Okay? I will first say that Tim Dillon did it better than Ian Carroll. And Ian Carroll at least was humble enough to admit the provocateurness of his situation, to which I can still respect him as an individual. Tim Dillon led us astray. Tim Dillon did what I would say is possibly better than an Andy Kaufman style bit. Tim Dillon told you the blanket Americana 9/11 style speech, which is like what we all should be saying as Americans, like, do not condone violence. I can't believe that people really close to me are actually condoning violence. Everyone thinks the world's a video game. It's not a video game. Now reality. So he did that little bit. And then after that, he was like, no, we got the most controversial interview we have ever had on our show. And he went down a rabbit hole that he normally goes down, which is I'm a right winger, but I'm also pro-Palestinian. And when I identify characteristics, and please clip the fuck out of this if I ever become famous. When I identify characteristics of human beings that are speaking in the fucking public sphere, in the podcast sphere, in the world, I am the new version of that. And what I mean by that is that I am identifying that right-wing politics is everything that is 2024 pro Joe Rogan podcast Trump. Everything else is not Republican. So Republican is mostly at its center, at its core, free speech. It's got this like little interesting divide of like, do we fight the war of Israel? Like, I'm even in this divide. I will get into it in a bit, but I'm even in this divide. Do we pro-Israel the shit out of America, understanding that like Muslim doctrine is pretty much anti-independency? Or do we understand that like Muslims, the Western world, even communists, that when we go and we watch a YouTube video of a capitalist traveling to these countries, They essentially just do capitalist things. And that means that capitalism and communism are very, very, very fucking close. And we should stop worrying about how, like, which country controls which. And instead, we should start understanding which country is doing it the best. And by that, I mean that, like, when I watch episodes of travel vloggers that go to mainland China, I clearly see that there's an identity that is American. There is a KFC everywhere. There is a Starbucks everywhere, even though that's getting overtaken by a communist version of it. There is a McDonald's everywhere in mainland China in these videos. And in most cases, these videos of American travelers that are showing us most of these cultures, when visiting communist nations like Russia or China that have the same amount of money as America, the same amount of people, the same amount of industry, experience, culture, fucking, future, entertainment, etc., that they then visit the capitalist versions because culturally they like them better. And what I mean by this is that, like, I will see a person go and travel to Japan or to China, and they are like to go to a Chinese McDonald's from these videos, from what I've perceived. Again, I have never left the continental United States. From what I perceive, these people are able to I'm trying to understand, like, when people travel overseas to these major communist nations that have populist sects that make them look mostly like America, what I have noticed is there are, from my perception, and again, my perception might not be true, but from my perception, there is like for every French fry that McDonald's sells, there's a noodle that McDonald's sells. So there is a Chinese fast food industrial perspective on whatever that carb is. And for them, the carb is a wet noodle. A wet noodle with some type of soy or sweetness or spice to it. For us, it is a French fry, which we have adopted into this chemical extract of like potato, like shitville with like salt and weird things on it. Mostly because we don't want to be condemned for being Chinese or communists and like dip in the saw. But we still like build the dip in the saw based off of our protein perspectives of like a chicken nugget. So you have a chicken nugget and then you have the saw. And the saw might be dipped by the French fry. And the French fry being a dip is no different than a sweet versus a spicy noodle. And I have to say, that fucking golden sauce by McDonald's is actually golden. For real, like, I don't get into fucking these trends, guys. My titties, these titties right here, absolutely condoned by the fucking special sauce of McDonald's. I hate fucking Chick-fil-A. Okay? And I'm not like, I am more right than I am left, okay? And I have went to Chick-fil-A and I have adopted the culture, and I understand because like I've also done like Uber and DoorDash and like those things. And when you go into a Chick-fil-A, you're like, how pleasant. And like, here's the thing. as somebody that's done DoorDash and other like hustling mentality shit, I'm like, maybe I should go work at Chick-fil-A. Then I find out it's just a cult. You're getting paid the same as McDonald's, but instead of being like a black lady that hates her life, you like love your life and you're like half Hispanic and you have like a full ride scholarship to like Notre Dame. I don't know why you're being paid the same as the McDonald's half black or full black employee that hates her life. But for some reason, the Chick-fil-A lady loves her life. And maybe it's the essence, the rules, so to speak, of Chick-fil-A. But people have told me that the Chick-fil-A sauce, which I have tasted years ago and have recoiled at, I am good. Okay. Here's the thing. The only thing good to come out of Chick-fil-A so far for me is a strawberry balsamic vinaigrette salad with grilled chicken on. Because I think if you can make a meal like that for under $10, fucking come in my face. For real. Like, literally drop a load all over my face because you've just made a beautiful meal under $10, which is something that Sweet Greens and Chipotle have tried to do for years. And you've done it while being a fast food restaurant. So, like, Chick-fil-A, props to you for the strawberry grilled chicken salad. But other than that, I'm just kind of like, what the fuck's the difference? Other than shitty chicken paid more. Because, like, you can get, like, 10 bits of chicken from fucking Chick-fil-A that are, like, grilled and not, like, don't have breading on them, rather they have low breading or some shit. And you get these bits of chicken, and you're like, these are little bits of chicken. Even if the chicken nugget is a Mr. Manufacturement of manufacturement society, at least that manufacturement of manufacturement society is McLovin my McMeal for my McSelf. And if an American is anything, it's a McAmerican. So if you want to be a McAmerican like me, you have to McAmerican your meals. And the only way to McAmerican your meals is to adopt McAmerican McMeals from McDonald's, because Chick-fil-A has refused to. The only thing they will give you is a beautiful strawberry grilled salad. And that beautiful strawberry grilled salad from Chick-fil-A, unfortunately, even with the balsamic vinaigrette, isn't as delicious as a double fish fillet from a McDonald's or a chicken nugget from a McDonald's that is fresh. You win every time without the sauce, even McDonald's, if it's fresh. A fresh French fry from McDonald's is the most motherfucking American thing there is. Charlie Kirk would agree, and if he wouldn't, he's a fucking Jew, not a Christian. Ask Nick Fuentes. Chicago wins every time. A fucking French fry from McDonald's is America. Fuck you, you fucking Jew, if you disagree. Eat your falafel and your falafel and your malafel and your falafel. I will eat my fucking French fry from American McDonald's. It's tough that if I stick a screen up of a bunch of clips from Rumble, my YouTube feed does better than me talking in my YouTube feed. It's also tough that if I do feeds of my Instagram algorithm, that my YouTube does better live that way than it does when I'm actually talking behind it. I'm going to now break down the entire recap for you all of the Charlie Kirk assassination, everything that I've heard so far. And after that, and after being as real as I possibly can as a Christian American male, and by Christian I mean like the Hillsong American indie urban Christian version of fucking Charlie Kirk. Like, if you want my religious background, here it is. Illinois went to Methodist of Genoa, Illinois. My grandparents were involved in the Methodist Church in the Vision 2000, which is like overtake America with like Methodist or some shit. I don't fucking know. They dropped out of that shit because they like, you know, got fucked over because like gossip. That's what usually happens with like American Christian churches that are evangelical. I went to college. I went to I think it was Chicago Christian Church or what was that? City Church Chicago. That's what it was. City Church Chicago, which had CCC, which had the same exact acronym as my college at the time, Columbia College Chicago. CCC was the blackest church I was ever a part of. It was really fucking cool. They would sing Christian rock anthems, Hillsong style, but they would do it with the like urban like black Christian vibe. And so it was fucking crazy. It was crazy. But I loved CCC, which was City Church Chicago. And then I went to New York and was like, how do I find something like City Church Chicago? And then I found out that they were kind of associated to or reflecting that of Hillsong, which was this like predominant Australian Christian group that would sing hymns that were modernized for Christians, and they would sing them back. So it's like, you know how we all like grew up Christian or Catholic, and so we were all like forced to sing like, "Oh come all ye faithful," like shit like that. So you like sing all that shit, and then there was like some guy in Australia that was like, I'm white, I have a guitar, I have a girlfriend. What if we played this in front of like 300,000 people and we changed the lyrics just a little bit? So it sounded a little bit more like Garth Brooks. And I'm for real here. That's exactly what they did. And then, like, you can look it up. There's a Warner Brothers documentary about them, which I don't know if it ever dropped or not. I was very interested in seeing it at one point in theaters just because of, like, the tie to it. Like, the fact that Hillsong was so big that Warner Brothers wanted to do a documentary on them, which Warner Brothers is essentially, like, the devil incarnate, which is the other side of my life. So I grew up in City Church Chicago, moved to New York, where I think, was it called Hillsong? Hillsong, New York? I think it was Hillsong, New York. I want to say it was Hillsong, New York, but I went to a city church in New York that was very similar to City Church Chicago, very similar to Hillsong, Australia. I think it was Hillsong NYC or something like that. And then it got popular because like Justin Bieber attended, etc. It was in New York City at the Sony Theater in Times Square, which was really fucking cool for me too, because it was like, as somebody that was working in the industry, I would every weekend want to go to like Broadway shows and to see this Christian organization essentially take over a Sony theater, a theater that was an off-Broadway theater that was being used by like the ticket box office of Broadway. It was really kind of like changing my perspectives on like what Christianity could be, which is like what later in my life I completely understood when like things like Angel Studios came about, and like just Clint Eastwood, anybody that was Christian that like built a big backing. I was like, they're gonna win because like there's not a lot of them, but there's enough of them that the world like kind of needs their movie because their movie is completely different than everything else. That's really what happened with fuck, I want to see Silence of the Lambs. What was it? Sound of Silence, or what the fuck was that movie? What was that movie called? Fuck. Oh man, I am a bad human being, and I'm even going to be a more devilish human being and not use Gemini and use ChatGPT in order to figure this out here, guys. What was the movie that did pretty equivalent at the box office during the entire Barbenheimer fiasco? I think it was called Sound of Freedom. Let's see. I couldn't clearly understand the single other movie that didn't exactly the same box office. Barbenheimer. It was a Christian movie. Don't be fucking gay. Don't be a fucking faggot about this situation. I'm talking about an independent Angel Studio movie that made a lot of money. Probably the same amount of money as like fucking My Big Fat Greek Wedding. So it was probably like the biggest independent success of like the last quarter century. And so to not be able to like build an equivalency to like Barbie or Oppenheimer while it was released in theaters at the same exact time, it's pretty fucking ridiculous. And now that I think of it, the movie is called Sound of Freedom. So educate yourself, you demon fucking shitty bot. It was called Sound of Freedom. I wasn't able to send that to my bot, but it was called Sound of Freedom. Let's recap, okay? Patsy in the audience clearly has a daughter, thinks he's going to be cool, be like Luigi Mangione. His daughter's like, no, please don't do that. And he's like, I'm going to do it anyway. Screams out loud like, oh, the shooter. What's the commandment right? What's my second commandment right? Guy in the parking lot gets arrested for having a gun. 5 officers swarm him. The fucking officers and the public post a video online. Immediately, it's reported he has a pellet gun in his hand. So now we have to draw one of two different things. Either one, there are multiple patsies that are trying to distract from the actual shooter, or two, there are multiple people that are trying to become Luigi Mangione. Both could be true. So with that said, new footage that I just saw of a man apparently without a shirt on. Man took his fucking shirt off. He's like, no, I do not have a shirt on. And that man apparently was holding a gun while he walked away. And I tried to debunk this. I tried to watch it and debunk it. I tried, people. But the fact is the man that is walking without a shirt, holding a gun, is clearly holding a gun, and either it's AI or I don't know what's going on. Here's the thing. AI is running rampant. It has caused multiple issues with this fucking assassination. First issue, there was a transgender on Twitter that was tied to the killer. We find out that was actually a meme coin. It was actually going to be some kind of fucking meme coin thing because they were trying to get everybody to follow that account in aggression. Whew. Then after the meme coin account, after the multiple patsies, we have Ian Carroll. We have I'm trying to think of who else did this. I think Ian Carroll was the only one that really went. Tim Dillon really went, but then when he did the interview and he finished the interview, he kept asking this guy, being like, this is crazy. This is very interesting, isn't it? And you realize Tim Dillon is a comedian at heart, and Tim Dillon is here to troll all of us by allowing this shitty fucking journalist to do an interview and make himself look like, oh wow, you know so much, right? Because when the journalist is asked by Tim Dillon, wow, this is crazy shit, the journalist is like, oh no, like it's a complete lie. Everything I'm saying is a complete lie. So that is the situation with Tim Dillon. It's tough. It's tough to watch those videos of Erica, who's done podcasts before, who just like most of these people want to fight for something but don't know what. And in doing so, they dupe themselves into looking like aggressors by people like Bill Maher, who was like, anybody saying this is a war, you're the problem. And like, I would agree in most scenarios, but like the TikTokers that are looking at all this hatred online by leftists and saying this is war, let them. They're idiots anyway. And for the rest of us, for the real ones, for the rest of us talking, having conversations with our audience, trying to give our audience the most honest insight we possibly can. What's the fucking difference? You know? Like, you clearly, Tim Dillon pulled an Andy Kaufman this week, so that's as far as we reach on that one. That journalist, however, what a fucking idiot. Made himself look like a real buffoon. So I'm happy about that one. I don't know. I really want to be pro-Israel at this point. I kind of want to be the creator that takes the money from the Jews and is like, Charlie was right. Christians and Jews are together and we're fighting and da da. Like, and half of me believes that, to be honest. Like, half of me believes that because it's like, you have Muslim extremists or Jews. As Christians, we've already learned not to do this dumb shit. We've already forgiven everybody we've ever fought. It's a problem with Hindus, Buddhists, and Jews, or Hindus, Buddhists, and Christians. We've all already figured out how to figure it out. So we got to let the Jews and the Muslims do their thing. They need to win. Somebody needs to win. Let the Jews and Muslims do their thing. Christians, Hindus, fucking Buddhists. Let's go. We all fucking know. Our religions are real because they're based on like the fear of death and doing good and like moral like repentance. Jews and Muslims, they're the old schools. They're the real schools. They're the real ones. They're the ones that are like, so the Jews are like, follow the rules or else. And the Muslims are like, or else 90 virgins if you blow somebody up, or else buy 5 wives, live in the sand for the rest of your life. How about that? And the Jews are like, don't do that. Don't do any of that. Just be a Gentile. Just be a weird Gentile. Go to your Christian rock church on Sunday. Have a great time. And we'll be Jews. They'll be Muslims. We'll fight it out. You guys just have fun being Hindus and Christians. Hindus and Christians need to unite right now. This Sunday, Hindus and you Christians unite under the ruse of South Park. Okay, I gotta talk about South Park before I leave. South Park. Fucking South Park. South Park has done so much for me on this channel. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, if you're watching this right now, hit subscribe. There is no chat in the chat. There is one person watching live, probably an ex-girlfriend. If you're not an ex-girlfriend, throw a chat. If you are an ex-girlfriend, no need to throw a chat. But I will say, like, Christians and Hindus, we got this shit covered. We figured it out. We're the ones. We understand ultimate forgiveness. Wow, our counterparts, these fucking Jews and Muslims, is kind of keep fighting. Just keep fighting. I didn't get through the whole recap. I was gonna end the episode here because, like, at this point we're an hour and a half in. That means I've done an hour of fucking dialogue. Our dialogue as a human that isn't fucking Android proof or AI or whatever is a lot, okay? I can't sit here and do 5 fucking hours a night with y'all. I gotta be an Indian person. I gotta Uber and deliver for my Uber. Let me see. What can I say before I go that makes this all feel good? I'm going to go to a church tomorrow. And while I've searched for churches that are within my chat GBTs or whatever, I've searched for churches that are close to Charlie Kirk or have said stuff about the visual or pop culture because, like, at the end of the day, that's what I care about is pop culture. I know fundamentally I'm going to have to, like, kind of fall back on this one. I'm going to have to find people that I support and support me. I'm going to have to understand that, like, every time I do a stream moving forward, it's going to feel good. Because there's somebody like Charlie Kirk that took the sacrifice for all of us. A fucking Christian son-like sacrifice. A Jesus-like sacrifice for all of us podcasters. Left, right, and center. One that I just want to double check because that was a ding from my email, and I just want to make sure I didn't just get demonetized on YouTube while I was doing this. I think it was just a Vimeo reminded me of a invoice I owe them. Yeah, okay, all right. Nice try, guys. Nice try, guys. Whew. All right, let's regather. Let's try this one more time. Okay. There were 2 patsies in the audience. There have been multiple problems, like the song Wicked, like Damn Goes the Wicked or some shit. Some song from Wicked going viral by a bunch of people glorifying him. The, like, total demonization of anybody doing entertainment just like me online. entertainment in general online. Demonization of it. The fact that like the New York Times did their headlines and Daily Show and then commented on the comment section of both shows and then disabled the comment section of both shows for the Saturday and Sunday sections moving forward. It shows you a lot about where we're at. I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of theories about how this all happened. I think I understand it a little bit more than most. As somebody that's 34 years old, my country hasn't built much meaning for me. And so if I was 10 years younger than the age I am right now, I can't imagine feeling any empathy, remorse, emotion, contradiction, etc. from anyone that engaged with me, either in reality or on the internet. Because you've told this fucking entire generation that their economic value, who they are, what they'll say, what they'll do, who they'll speak to, is all dedicated to a number online, to a reality of who they are on a digital space. But at the same time, you'll be the first to lecture them. The first to tell them that internet is not everything. None of this really means anything. You need to get a job. You need to get a wife, a life, and start earning. Not only do we not teach our youth how to find a partner and children, etc., we condemn it. We condemn it so much that those that do it right are looked at as wrong, and those that do it wrong are looked at as normal. If you just happen upon a child in your life, that's normal. If you decide to have a child, you're a crazy, deranged lunatic. These are the characteristics that we need to hopefully soon end in order to come to a conclusion that's better. Not only better, but like best for everyone involved. Right now, it's very, 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 very fucking hard to find anyone to rely on. As you connected with all of these people for years, that's all you did. You went on the internet, you connected with these people. And if you don't have a close family to go, wow, the internet's fucking the Joker right now. Like, it's literally fucking the Joker right now. And with the internet fucking the Joker right now, like, it's kind of like, I don't want to talk about the Joker doing anal. I just want to tell my mom I love her. And that's kind of where we're, not kind of where we're at, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Is that the world doesn't understand reality, and reality doesn't understand the world. It's tough. It's really tough. It's tough to understand. The one thing I noticed is there was 3 engravings of the bullets, and they are deeply focused on them now that this is a clearly political assassination. One, the speculation that the engravings by the ATF agent that released it to Steven Crowder are transphobic are wrong. The only thing transphobic about these statements by these 3 bullets is gay. The word gay being placed on one of them, as it says, if you are reading this, you are gay. Unfortunately, CNN was right. There are cultural statements being made by a gamer who is deranged and out of it. He's a lunatic. He is a walking meme. These thoughts are correct. They're morally sound to make. The ones that are not morally sound to make are that Charlie Kirk was assassinated for fighting Israel. That anything that this child did was somehow part of a deeper plot. All this is, people, is a simple killing. Because as you've probably heard by the Utah governor, under the recollection of how this assassin was found, there was a conversation had between the person who shot him and other family members in which they discussed how much they could not stand Charlie Kirk. And I'm sure that that conversation evolved into a vague territory of what ifs or what ofs or what I would do's or what if he would. And rather than go down the rabbit hole and directly to the source and say, yeah, that's the problem. Eating spaghetti with my aunt, deliberating the demise of a right-wing conservative podcast host is the fucking problem. We'll say violence is the issue. We'll say free speech is the issue. We'll say exposure is the issue. And to these, they're all true in a way. People don't understand that when Elon bought Twitter, he put it to ones and zeros. And Mark Zuckerberg is a succubus. And Mark Zuckerberg fed his Instagram feed to the same of Twitter, to a free speech platform. And the problem with that being that Twitter is not the same as Instagram. Instagram, which is a sect of the Meta Facebook era, Instagram has the same medium that TikTok has, that YouTube Shorts has. This slide forward, ask questions later, oh my God, what just happened? Engaging approach to content. And I said it when Elon released, like when he bought Twitter, I said, why doesn't he bring back Vine? Without a slidable, algorithmic video format, this Twitter is nothing. And was I wrong? Yes, I was definitely wrong, because Twitter is still something, because Twitter is a search base. Twitter is where journalists and people are able to post things and expose and whistleblow without having fear. But Twitter could have turned Vine. Twitter could have built video. Twitter could have fought YouTube. Twitter could have fought TikTok. Twitter could have fought Instagram. Twitter decided not to. And now Instagram, because Mark Zuckerberg is a ones and zeros follow in suit type of person, Instagram had a video slide first, like later, engagement style, social media video first platform. And that's why people keep saying every day, they're like, oh my God, my reels on Instagram are crazy, but my YouTube is this, or my butt. And this gets to the real issue. Or not issue. I shouldn't say it's an issue. It's how this show's going to go moving forward. I've thought for a long time about how I best can communicate and advocate for the things that I care about. And Charlie Kirk's wife had stated that, like, in private, his number one advocacy, his number one care, and I need to state this because I think that he deserves it, because he got fucking shot in the neck. Charlie Kirk's number one advocacy in America was to build families in America. And that is something I can always get behind. I don't know that I ever will. I think that I want to remake myself in the version of Jesus and the version of Christianity that I accept, that I love, and to continue running marathons and to treat my body as a temple and to stop eating so much fucking Americana, capitalist McDonald's, and to be more like Charlie, and to maybe have a wife someday. And I think that if I did, I think that I would. I think that I would be a lot more America first. I think that I would be a lot more advocating towards the exact thing that Charlie, apparently his number one advocacy was for, which is stabilizing the American family, which I am 100% for. Whew. All right. Charlie Kirk was first establishing the American family. That was his number one advocacy. I'm trying to recap as much as I can so that I can just finish up this series kind of from this live stream. I believe Charlie Kirk was shot by a lone gunman. I believe that this person did sit around a kitchen table with a family member and discuss how they hated Charlie Kirk. I believe that left-wing style propaganda did advocate towards this individual going on a roof and shooting Charlie Kirk. I do not believe Israel's involved. I do not believe this is a giant conspiracy theory. I believe that with the founded evidence that people have stated, I could have done it from that range. And to that I say, yeah. You could have done it, and this person did do it from that range. I need to take a second. Like, I'm trying to gather it, the way to say it, because it connected all to me today. The way to continue the one thing that I really... A lot of people don't understand how this can affect anyone that's just a creator online. But it should. It should affect all of us equally. This person was killed essentially for doing exactly what we all do. With just taking our brain and then like computing independent, truly human opinions about that subject. And I don't think that gunman, while talking to that relative, that either one of them, I don't even think that relative even today understands that, like, in the world of artificial intelligence, in the world of like all of these algorithms of search groups and this and that, and ways in which to articulate or find an argument or find an answer, that it's like rare and unique and brilliant and totally approved to have your own thoughts. And I think that, honestly, like, the reason that I'm so sad about all this is that I know how he fucking felt. I know that there's people out there. There's lots of people out there that have platforms that have to suck it up and not admit that they also know exactly how he felt. Like Nick Fuentes and Tim Dillon and anyone, Joe Rogan, anyone. They have to suck it up. And they have to act like they didn't know Charlie, while also understanding that, like, this is the 1960s and 70s, and like we have fundamentally transitioned across a road when it comes to communication online, and it happened right here with Charlie. You can live in a world where you think that Charlie is a Jewish Israeli propagandist that proved me wrong, is essentially the Jewish version of Change My Mind. Or you can live in a world where you understand that, like, these things happen because of the teams we're on, because of the communication we face with each other. And that while Change My Mind did its own thing, Prove Me Wrong did a completely different thing. And Prove Me Wrong is not a propaganda Jewish tale. And anyone trying to bend it that way, Ian Carroll, fucking Candace Owens, whoever does, because I know it's going to get deeper as we go into the weeks and months of this situation. You're fucking capitalizing off of a death and bending reality to something that it's not. Israel has done a lot. Israel didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk had talked out against Israel. Those clips are clearly being propagandized right now. Me even saying this out loud, I'm like, oh, is Ben Shapiro going to come knock on my door and hand me $100,000 to say more? But it's reality. Like, he didn't. He didn't. What I learned being 34 years old, entertainment, independent, 17 feature films, I use that as my credibility as the amount of feature films that I've made. Because I use it as credibility as I continue to build more and more and more feature films. I hope to one day be 70 years old and say 100 feature films and maybe get some credibility independently. Because the fact is that the more that you list the amount without interest or narrative, the more that it's understood that you're outside of the system. The system is like literally any job, guys. And there are a lot of people, just like Charlie, that have opinions and they live in America and they feel free and they feel empowered. And they feel like they shouldn't just fucking live in a world where they're not allowed to speak their opinions because they feel like Americans, because they feel free. I feel free. I always feel free. Even when I'm fucking Ubering and paying for shitty rent so that I can have a pool and my dog can have a dog park across the street. And we can have people that live next to us that talk about how Charlie Kirk is a horrible person in fucking Texas. We do all of these things because at the end of the day, I believe exactly, or even more so, in what exactly Charlie Kirk believed in. I believe fundamentally that if you speak your mind and you are consistent and you are undeniable, that God will receive that energy and bring it down into this heavenly earth and give you the power that you need to perform the tasks that are needed to illustrate those points and be the leader that you are. It's been almost 2 hours. 1 a.m. on a Saturday. I'm shirtless. I don't think there's anybody else even watching. I think I'm going to watch Time Cop, guys. I was told to watch Time Cop. Let's see what the relevancy is. I had one distasteful joke about the assassin that seemed to work. And with all the distasteful jokes out there, I encourage people to continue to use this distasteful joke because this one seems to work. And the rest of them are very glorified and weird and make you look liberal and shitty and cunty. This is the joke you should use. The assassin of Charlie Kirk looks like a Hills Have Eyes retarded inbred version of Charlie Kirk. And I wonder if that's why Time Cop is trending right now. Like, is this all like because the killer looks like Charlie Kirk? Because he's essentially the same thing as the thing that he shot? Did you see those teeth of Tyler? The teeth that Tyler have are very much similar to the teeth of one Charlie Kirk. When you are a millionaire, Charlie Kirk had a wealth of around 12 million. I would assume that means at least $1 million. Elon Musk said he was going to give at least $1 million. Tucker Carlson said he was going to give at least $1 million. Again, I really don't think this family has anything to worry about. I think that with Erica in charge and the statements she's made, we're pretty good. But hey, it is what it is. Let me pull back and let me explain how I've been completely emboldened by Charlie Kirk as a podcaster. And how independently I'm going to go moving forward. I almost decided to go to Joel Osteen's church in Houston tomorrow because of Charlie Kirk. Instead, I will go to one of the biggest mega churches in Austin, Texas, and maybe even take a visit next weekend to Houston to see Joel Osteen, the biggest mega church in America. Christians need to unite. And Christianity, even conversations about Jesus Christ, are going to help you guys. They are. So show up to church on Sunday. Show up to a New Age church that does a lecture that's self-motivating and helps you in your life with anecdotal evidence of things that you can do to make yourself better. I did that in my adolescence, and I loved it. And I will do it again tomorrow because of Charlie Kirk. Charlie has also made me realize that, like, anytime I turn this camera on and that red light goes on and it says on air, it's bold. It's real. It's something that matters and matters more than anything now in America. The camera is the reason that people knew who Charlie Kirk was. The public and the way he presented himself is the reason he was who he was. And so I hope that these things together will continue to make good things for people in public. But again, like, if you want to be Charlie Kirk, just get in front of the camera. And so every time I push on air, this is, the 1, 2, 3. We had the first stream that was trying to figure out who this person was. The second stream, the photos and video released of the suspect. And the third stream, the actual capture of the suspect. I will say, Kash Patel, which if you look at the beginning of this stream, you will see Kash Patel's statement stating that he is being as transparent as possible, that he has released as much to the public as possible so the public can be a part of this situation, makes you question all of it. Also, like, the head of this thumbnail, the head of this fucking video, is like he turned himself in. Nobody is saying that. No one is talking about that. Kash Patel was saying, oh, thank God for the law enforcement and all of these details. He turned himself in. And yeah, let's write out the conspiracy theories because again, I think the camera evidence shows it's the same person. But it doesn't change the fact that Kash Patel, he turned himself in. You didn't do anything. He turned himself in. He turned himself in. He turned himself in. He turned himself in, and my immediate response was, oh, great. He's going to get a Luigi support. He's going to get a cheer because now we don't understand the difference. Because this is something I thought we all understood, the Robin Hood aspect, the Luigi Mangione aspect. This perspective that's like, that man articulated and looked out and sought out for all of us that this human being was directly responsible for neglect of hundreds of thousands of patients, of people in their health care in America. And that was somehow different than a right-wing commentator doing his TV show online. Apparently, there's the same thing. The same goddamn thing. Is that... Yeah. And so... I'm going to finish the stream with this, which is like, I wish that, I really, 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 really wish that, like, we didn't need to I was going to say I really wish we didn't need to learn this lesson, but I think that more than learning the lesson, we've discovered the rabbit hole that follows the lesson. The problem with the lesson, the issue with the lesson. I'll leave you with this because I haven't talked much. I've kind of went in rabbit holes and circles. Watch Erica Kirk's statement. Watch it on Rumble. Watch it on YouTube. Watch it on their official sources. It is moving, to say the least. After that, I would say these are the people that have helped me heal as an American 9/11 style from this situation. Jordan is my lawyer, an unbiased podcast, unbiased politics. That episode was very 9/11, very, very millennial, very sympathetic. Besides her, Ryan Long on the Boys Cast did some pretty good right-wing leaning commentary and cultural comedy. It was funny. It's the only one that I thought was funny. Tim Dillon, I was very worried about and very ready to disagree with, but by the end, I think it's funny. He's poking fun at a horrible interview and article, and that if you have the time to watch the whole 2-hour episode, you'll see the Andy Kaufman style takes that he takes on this reporter and how it actually is brilliant. I would ask you to watch moving forward the takes of only two individuals. They're the only ones that I've seen that are truly authentic on the right now. And that's Megyn Kelly as a journalist. And if you need a commentator, Nick Fuentes. As crazy as that sounds. Those are the stable voices of the right. Don't fall for the Groyper did it situation. That one was fun. The one thing that I noticed about the whole like Groyper, he's a Groyper and he killed him situation, besides the fact that like there's direct commentary from the family saying that Charlie was hate filled, which no Groyper would ever say. And even Ben Shapiro came to the defense of Groypers and understanding that. But yeah, Groypers, the Groypers. It's called America First. It's called America First, and it was fighting with Turning Point USA until you, the anti-American blue-haired fucking retard, Muslim-supporting fucking retard, showed up and showed people like Ben Shapiro and Nick Fuentes that they need to be together because otherwise Charlie Kirk be shot again. Let me lean in and repeat that one more time, and then I will go. Message for tonight. Ben Shapiro, Nick Fuentes, you need to understand you are now on fundamentally the same side. And you need not attack each other, but move forward in understanding there is a much, much more dangerous enemy.